The Blue Jays made another move today, and it's Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. He's going to Pittsburgh, and what we thought would not be a possibility because Ross Atkins has said that he doesn't want to trade players that are going to be here past this season. IKF fits that bill, as does Chad Green. So I don't know if the Blue Jays are done for the day. There's still about 20 minutes left to go before the deadline strikes. And the Blue Jays have been really busy. We thought the majority of their work was done last night, but that's not the case. They got another ranked prospect from the Pittsburgh Pirates today, and they're slowly restocking their farm system. IKF, sad to see him go, but I think his value had really peaked this year, and he's going to help out a team that is trying to win a pretty weak division. So we'll break that down and much more on this episode of Jays Digest. What's up, Jays fans? I'm your host, Peter Vryonis, alongside host Nick Gosse. And shout out to Nick for being on top of all the news that we've heard about today regarding the Blue Jays. They've been very busy. I did not think they were going to be this busy, but I'm wrapping up my workday here, so I was able to join in fully on this one. Not going to give you my 1 minute thought on what's going on, but Nick has been allowing me to do that, so I appreciate it. But Nick, another move here by the Blue Jays. And a surprising one, considering the reports that had come out earlier in the day that the Blue Jays were not looking to trade assets that were controllable beyond 2024. And IKF, he was under contract for one more season past this one. He figured to be a part of the solution if the Blue Jays wanted to remain competitive in 2025, but we saw the market. We saw the way that it was unfolding, and we've seen what the Marlins have done, given up a lot of relievers with control and a lot of good players with control. And they're getting back a slew of prospects, and their farm system has now jumped up to one of the best in baseball after being okay just a couple of days ago. So the Marlins have done great work. I think the Blue Jays are in that same boat, not quite at the same level. They haven't gotten the same top level prospects that the Marlins have, but nonetheless, the Jays have done a great job this deadline. I'm going to give Ross Atkins praise despite him being the reason why they're in this situation in the first place. But Nick, another good move, another prospect acquired, and more building blocks for the future. Now the question is, what happens next with Chad Green? Because you got to assume that he's going to go.
Yeah, I just made a video just then on the other trade, and then this drops. This one's a surprising one. Ben Nicholson-Smith literally tweeted, I think 10 minutes prior to this trade, giving some updates regarding how Chad Green said he's still a member of the Blue Jays as far as he knows. And he also said that IKF is looking to return to the Jays on Friday to play in the big league club. And then 5 minutes later, he gets sent for Charles McAdoo, who is the Pirates, number 29th prospect. That's not updated. He is actually their number 15th ranked prospect, which we'll dive into in a minute. But Peter, IKF is gone. He has one more year of control for the Pittsburgh Pirates. He's having a phenomenal season, and this was a surprising trade that I did not expect. I thought that maybe Chad Green would be sent away, and that's still possible, though it doesn't seem too likely right now. But as of 20 minutes ago, it didn't seem likely that they were going to be dealing any of the guys who are under control next season. As of 20 minutes ago, Ben Nicholson-Smith said that. So they're continuing to do things, but I like the return here a lot. We'll dive into that in a second, but you can just look at those OPS numbers and smile if you're a Toronto Blue Jays fan, because we got this player for a signing at the time that fans were very upset with because they said 2 years, $15 million is too much for IKF. Fast forward a few months, top 15 prospect in the Pirates system. They have a pretty decent system. We got an outfielder who can really hit the ball.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I don't know if this is exactly what they envisioned IKF's
Yeah.
value to be in terms of being a trade chip at the
Yeah,
deadline. I
definitely
don't know
not.
if they envisioned anyone being a trade chip at the deadline, considering the expectations coming into the year. And maybe some fans were kind of bullish on the Jays and didn't expect them to make the playoffs or whatnot. But man, who could have seen this coming? And yeah, Ross Atkins deserves the brunt of the blame for this. He's the reason why they're in this situation. He failed to address a lot of holes that the Blue Jays had this offseason. And for that reason, they're now sellers at the deadline. But I will give him credit where it's due in the fact that he has done really well in getting back prospects. We haven't seen any blue chip prospects besides
No.
maybe Jake Bloss come the way of the Toronto Blue Jays. But still, it never hurts to have organizational depth. I would have liked to have seen more pitchers come the way of Toronto because of all the injuries that they've had, but I've seen a lot of outfielders acquired, which is not something that the Blue Jays had a ton of before the trade deadline. And I've seen more infield depth, which will add some internal competition and maybe squeeze out some players that did not belong in the major league. So who knows? We got to wait and see how these players play once they do arrive to Toronto. But so far, a very good deadline for the Blue Jays. And like we mentioned in the intro, Nick, I think Chad Green has to be the next one to go because I don't know if you saw those returns that the Marlins got back for Tanner Scott and for Trevor Rogers, but those were monstrous returns. Like Trevor Rogers is, to put it into perspective, he's a starter with a 4.5 ERA, someone who is under team control, who has good stuff, who's a lefty. He has some attractive qualities about him, but still, he has struggled this season, and a contending team wanted him. And in order to get a struggling pitcher from the Miami Marlins, they had to give up their number 5 prospect in Connor Norby, and it's no garbage farm system, by the way. This is the Orioles farm system that we're talking about. And Kyle Stowers, who is another top 5 prospect who graduated to the big leagues and was actually contributing with the Orioles, who are in first place in the AL East. So that just shows you how crazy the market has been this deadline, Nick. And the Blue Jays need to capitalize on this. I get it. Chad Green is a good player, and he's someone that could help you out if you want to compete in 2025. But man, how can you pass up 3 young prospects in return for a guy who's had Tommy John surgery, who's set to make $8 million next year? With all this money that they're shipping out, by the way, they're going to be able to make a big splash in free agency if that's the avenue they decide to go in, or allocate that money to Vladimir Guerrero Jr., who has definitely earned it with the way that he's played in the past month plus here.
They need to. And we're at 10 minutes away, for 12 minutes away from the deadline as of right now. And again, IKF is gone. But the bigger question here is that, I mean, for one, very quickly, I'm very happy with the return. Yeah, Peter, check it. Keep refreshing your timeline for me because who knows, anything could happen as of now. I want to see Chad Green go, and I think them getting rid of IKF makes it more likely that they maybe are going to the avenue of trading some of the guys that are under control for next season and beyond, whatever they end up going with. We know that Vladdy and Bo are staying, but IKF left, and I wouldn't be surprised if they see Chad. I think if they don't trade Chad Green, it is it's mispractice for the Toronto Blue Jays front office because yes, he's going to be a good reliever. The Jays have the worst bullpen in baseball right now. I think we're probably at that point now, or at least one of the worst after trading away everybody. But if they don't trade away Chad Green and get some assets back, they're going to keep Bassett. I think at this point they're going to keep Gausman, but Green's the only one left. And give me more prospects like this because I'm looking forward to the retool, and it looks like Lou Perfido is going to be coming up to play with the Blue Jays tomorrow as well. So there's a lot of good stuff happening here. He's going to meet them in Baltimore. I'm excited to watch Jays baseball again. We were watching it. We were still watching every game. It wasn't super exciting. I'm excited with the way this organization is going. And if we can make one more splash at Chad Green, that would make me happy. Any quick final thoughts before we wrap up?
Yeah, I think we're the next to be called up if this keeps going the way that it's going. I don't even know if the Blue Jays can field the team tonight against the Orioles with the amount of trades that they've made, the amount of call-ups that they've had to make as well. So, yeah, it's a tumultuous time for those that still remain on the roster, but I think the Jays are going to be better off for
Definitely.
it if they keep going in this direction. And look, they didn't mince their words. They said they were going to trade all the expiring contracts. They've done that. They said they weren't going to trade contracts that were controllable beyond 2024, and they've still done that with Nate Pearson and Isaiah Kiner-Falefa now being the latest. And with the way that the trend has been going, you got to believe that Chad Green is going to go because you have to test the market. And obviously Kyle Finnegan is probably the best reliever left on the market, the closer of the Washington Nationals. But apparently they're asking for you to move heaven and earth to go out and acquire him. And I don't know if that's realistic. He's not a generational closer by any stretch. So maybe Chad Green in this market is going to be more cost effective. And in this market, the way that it's going, cost effective means 3 top 20 prospects in your organization. And if I'm Ross Atkins, I take that in a heartbeat and I continue to build up this farm system that desperately needed a facelift, and it's gotten one. I mean, if you look at all the prospects that they've acquired, they've all pretty much entered the top 30 of the Blue Jays, and that's a really good sign for me. That shows that they are looking for talent and they're getting guys who have noticeable tools and that can definitely make an impact in the big league level when they are ready. Obviously, they can't all crack the big league lineup, but let's say 3 or 4 or 5 of these players make the big leagues. I think that evens out some of the players that you shipped out. So I'm really happy with the way that this deadline has gone. A plus for me. The Marlins get an A plus 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 for the way that their deadline has gone, but I think the Blue Jays are a pretty close second.
Yeah, I mean, if that's the last move, I'm happy with it. IKF, I did love him though in his time in Toronto, but if that ends up being the last
Yeah.
move. A plus for everybody on the Blue Jays side, and obviously, yeah, if you're a Marlins fan watching this, then congratulations to your team because you got A plus as well. But let us know in the comments what your thoughts are on this, and I guess we'll see you if Chad Green gets dealt very very soon. But if not, good deadline for the Toronto Blue Jays.